I'm happy to introduce one of the driving forces behind this whole project. Welcome, VERNA GILLIS. Yeah.
I'm going to start with a disclaimer. Not as funny as it used to be. My partner of 19 years died in 2017 from cancer. Oh, for the day when the C word meant cunt. In his last stages, I could judge my mental health by whether or not I engaged with telemarketers. One day I slammed down the phone on the last motherfucker piece of shit. He called me back. Suck my cock, suck my cock. I started seeing a grief counselor. I asked her about her group. I'm not sure they get you, she said. Get me? I asked. Well, you do curse a lot, she said. That's true. I do. I acknowledge. However, I'm civilized. I'm socialized. I don't tell anyone, go fuck yourself or fuck you, unless they deserve it. Hospice is a miracle of compassion and practicality. They remind me of Jehovah's Witnesses. Whenever you turn around, there's another pamphlet. Life after death is about those of us who remain. Months after his death, I told a friend that what I miss the most is the body of it. You have to learn to hug yourself, she said. I don't think so. I just have to learn to live with missing. Missing is part of life. I was recently diagnosed with CMML, a treatable form of leukemia. Friends asked me if I'd had any symptoms. At this time of life, it's nothing but symptoms all the fucking time. I know better than to look them up and find out what it might have been for fear of developing all of them instantly. I'm a recovering hypochondriac. Hypochondriacs actually get it right. There is something wrong, just not what we thought. I have discovered the cure for hypochondria. Live long enough, and it all becomes real. I go for chemo infusions 1 week in every 4. At this late time of life, I am finally shooting up. To mitigate the effects of the chemo, they put me on steroids. In the middle of the night, I remembered all the fire extinguishers in each room that hadn't been updated in years. They're all updated. I went through all my sweaters and gave them to friends. All the clothing in the closet, half of which is from a life I am no longer living, and the other half no longer fits me. If I am on steroids, it means inhabiting a different mind and body. You may think you know who you're looking at. You have no clue. Steroids is also like a truth serum, and I've had to relearn that no one is asking me my opinion. I've been on an opinion rampage. What's your prognosis? Someone asked me. We all have the same prognosis. We're all gonna die. Something we can bet our lives on. That sounds specific enough to me. Existential terror. Have a great day. Whistling in the dark, whistling in the light. Some days I have to crawl my way back to gratitude. Always worth the crawl. I turned 80 2 years ago. I must admit, it got my attention in a very different way. I gave myself a surprise party. If you don't think turning 80 isn't one big fucking surprise, just wait. What people said most often were, it could be worse. Consider the alternative. I used to describe myself as being in the infancy of older. I have now moved well into my adolescence. I realize everyone wants to live to 80, but no one wants to be 80. Closer to dead than to alive, the future closer to the present than it's ever been, knowing that one day the last thing I say will be the last thing I said, and vice versa. I recently went to a pain management doctor for my back. I was filling out the forms, those endless forms that no one ever looks at. For sex, I wrote, not anymore. And then I checked the box for erectile dysfunction, since I have difficulty standing up. When you're in pain, you don't think it will ever end, unlike happiness, which you know is just a matter of time. Game of groans. I have a new category which I call, should I be worried? Absolutely. I asked my gynecologist, why do I still have a vagina? I don't know, she said. At this time of life, my vagina feels like a vestigial organ. I'd rather trade it in for something more useful, like a larger bladder. I've been working on a guide to incontinence. My brand of adult pads is called Free to Pee, You and Me. The golden years is all about peeing. So what is this senior citizen shit? How did that come to be a thing? There are no middle-aged citizens or teenage citizens. However, if you qualify, you can be a senior citizen, navigating loss and less on the rougher seas of older. Aging, a common goal, something we are all doing in tandem. However, when one says, so-and-so is aging, it's often with dread, indicating having crossed over an invisible line into the last chapter. Aging is great when it comes to cheese, wine, and friendships. No well-aged pussy appeal. When I die, I will have aged out. I've learned that just because I don't remember something doesn't mean it didn't happen. And just because I remember doesn't mean it did. I can't remember yesterday, but I do have proof it happened. It is now today, and today always follows yesterday. My daily motto is, don't think about anything. No good can come from it. My daily activity, go gummies. And I don't have to worry about becoming addicted. I'm already addicted. Everything is as it never was. The facial recognition app on my phone no longer recognizes me. My new practice is called mindlessness. I tried mindfulness. However, if you knew what my mind is full of, You would not recommend it for me. The family is the pre-existing condition. My point of sanity was in not having children, and the children I never had are grateful. One will never know if it goes without saying until you go without saying it and see how it goes. The case of the shrinking anesthesiologist. I went for my regular decade colonoscopy. I had a charming anesthesiologist from Azerbaijan. I've always wanted to go to Azerbaijan, I said. Why would anyone want to go to Azerbaijan, he asked. Oh, for the music and food, of course, I started to answer. Then I noticed he was shrinking. It was an odd sensation and confusing. Next thing I know, I'm waking up from the anal probe and understood that perhaps he hadn't been shrinking at all. The table had been moving up to greet the eye level of the proctologist. Of course. I asked the nurse, how many of these does he do in a day? Between 15 to 19, she answered. To him, we're all just assholes. As I was leaving, the anesthesiologist said to me, you did a great job. I had no idea what he meant. You did a great job, I responded. I woke up. The older I get, the more my skin is separating from my bones. I realize that if I stood on my head, I would suffocate. However, if I could have stood on my head, my whole life would have been different. My new bra size is 36 long. When one hears someone has died, there are always two questions that are asked: how old and from what, so that one can gauge how close or far away it seems, or the randomness of who leaves and who gets to remain. I have now moved into the category of old enough to die. Mortality sightings on the rising. My father said that the first 100 years are the hardest. I used to think he was cynical. Now I wonder, perhaps he was an optimist. I've learned you can never start over or begin again. You can, however, continue in a different way. Who cares if it all won't matter in the end? It matters now. I will tell you the worst thing you can say to an old person. You've never looked better. It's all good. It's not all good. Haven't you noticed? My daymares far surpass my nightmares. My segues have become confidential. I could always keep a secret, and now I keep it from myself. When I was a child, I thought old age was an affliction. When I saw old people sitting outside, I would hold my breath when I passed them, not wanting to catch whatever it was that made them look that way. One day, perhaps, a very young child will hold its breath as it passes me. The certitude of the great uncertainty is more certain. We're all on a specific deadline without a specific date that we know of. Here today, here tomorrow. I prefer that for now. I'm old. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. It's okay. It happens. I wasn't always old. I was not born old. I didn't spend my whole life being old. I live to become old. That's the way it goes. 82 is the new 82. This time of life, simply being alive feels like enough to have in common with others. At this very moment, all of us everywhere are the oldest we have ever been. And I want to leave you with a question. Can a vegetarian have a beef with someone? Thank you.